So good afternoon. My name is Steve Smith. I'm an experienced education entrepreneur. I'm a board member at the National College Access Network and board chair at College Possible, which is a nonprofit college access and success program. And I'm co-author of a book called Who Do You Think You Are, which is intended to help parents have better conversations with their teenagers about college and career decisions. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about education opportunity. And I co-founded Intellispark because after 20 years in the field and after decades of work by great folks working extremely hard, gaps in education opportunity and attainment remain pervasive. In our most recent experience before starting Intellispark, my colleagues and I created Naviance, an iconic brand in high schools, which we grew to the point of reaching more than 10 million students a year in 100 countries, and where we created more than $200 million in enterprise value. But along that journey, we realized that that was really a narrow case in a much broader spectrum of student support issues that schools were attempting to tackle every day. And so we launched Intellispark to look more broadly at student support in pre-K to 12 schools to help districts improve academic performance and student readiness by looking after well-being. Schools understand this. They know that keeping kids on track requires much more than just great teaching and learning. Most have created teams of psychologists and social workers and counselors and teachers and administrators who meet on a regular basis, monthly, if not more often, to look at student performance issues and to try to address individual prevention and intervention plans. That works hard. It's an incredible commitment of time and resources. It's extremely expensive, and yet it reaches less than 20% of students. This is true in part because the process is just very hard. It's slow and it's cumbersome. It relies on data that are in lots of different systems. It requires collaboration among individuals who may not be in the same building at the same time. There are conflicts in schedule, communication, project management are all significant challenges. So we've worked to build a solution that addresses some of those underlying obstacles while also trying to make it easier to look not just at the kids who are struggling, not just at the kids who are standing out because they seem to be having the most trouble, but to look at all students so that we can try to address the root causes of issues of academic performance gaps, not just the symptoms, and where we can focus on all kids, where the whole community can take an interest in the whole child. We pick up where data visualization and dashboard tools leave off, and we help staff to solve problems rather than simply identify them. And because education, if we could get to the next slide, please. And because education is fundamentally a human endeavor, because it's about kids and not just about data, we're focused on creating a team-based approach, on helping people to see a circle of care around every child so that all of the adults in a kid's life, whether they're in the school or in the community, can work together to develop a personal plan for success. Now, we have lots of thoughts about the obstacles that schools face on this, and we've worked in this industry for a long enough time to know that there are lots of challenges. Schools are overwhelmed by data, and they struggle sometimes to find intelligence in that data. We know that practitioners are often forced to rely on gut instinct rather than on evidence because they need a point-in-time solution. And we know that some stakeholders are left out of the process because they don't even work in schools. And so having them part of the process and the systems just isn't part of the way work gets done today. And we know that schools use a plethora of different systems, which sometimes makes it difficult even to know what tool to use at what time. So as a result, student support in schools today looks a lot more like triage, even if we wish it looked more like wellness care. Now, we created a solution that tries to combine data, communication, and action into one place so that we can create that sense of wellness care, where infinite resources, or finite resources, wish they were infinite, where finite resources go to supporting kids rather than to administering processes. So we're off to a great start, except in this presentation. We have a diverse group of pilots, paid pilots, across the country, and we're gearing up for a market launch later this year, and we're here to strengthen relationships. We're looking for folks who are interested in this problem and like-minded individuals that we can work with along the way. I'm happy to say that our seed round is oversubscribed, so we're not raising funding at this time, but if you're interested, stay tuned. Series A is down the road. So we've built a great group of folks who are experienced at this. We have a great group of advisors who are actively involved in bringing a practitioner's perspective, and we know what it means to build a significant scaled ed tech business in K-12. So with that, I want to thank you for listening. You'll find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and if you're interested in the book that I mentioned at the start, our publisher would be thrilled, and you can find that at Who Do You Think You Are? WDYTYA.info. Thank you.